I didn't know I would survive this long. I am so very pleased to have all of you here. Some of you have been here since the very beginning. Now, the very beginning for me was 57 years ago. So, Tammy Darvish up here says, we are too young. I know a lot of you were saying with her, we are too young. But some of you have known me for 57 years at Suitland High School when I came at the age of 15. And there they are right there. And the great thing in my life is that so many of those with whom I started are with me today. That is something that I'm most proud of and that means most to me. Now I want to thank LaShawn Baker, our county executive, for being here. I know he was introduced. Our Attorney General, Doug Gansler, wonderful friend, such a great job. Peter Francho is out of state, or he would be here. Wallace Lowe. Wallace Lowe, the president of the University of Maryland, born in Singapore, raised in Peru, came here when he was 15 with $300 in his pocket. His family's life savings, graduated from Grinnell, went to law school, got his doctorate degree, worked for a governor who's going to be the ambassador to China, and the University of Maryland is so blessed to have with us Dr. Wallace Lowe and his wife Barbara. I'm not going to introduce the Lieutenant Governor. Carmen, I'll introduce you. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant Governor of our state, my good friend, well, Anthony Brown. He just got engaged to a wonderful, wonderful friend of mine, Carmen. You're wonderful. Thank you so much. Yeah, right. Sit down. Sit down and Brown. I introduced some of my high school friends. I haven't introduced them by name, but you saw them. I was blessed to have the opportunity as a very young man who had been enamored by John Fitzgerald Kennedy, who had been urged that I and all young people ought to get involved in public ways. Not necessarily run for office, but get involved and make a difference. John Kennedy made an extraordinary difference in my life. As a matter of fact, he turned my life around. 2 years after his election, or about a year and a half after his election, a young man came up to me on the campus of the University of Maryland. His name was Doug Worrell. He ran horses for a congressman from Baltimore County. He said, hey, would you like to go downtown, this is 1962, and do some volunteer work for a U.S. congressman who's running for the United States Senate. Now the irony is Blair Lee was from Montgomery County. And so he's from Montgomery County right across, I thought I'd be for him. But I wasn't for anybody at that point in time, but I said, sure, Doug. I was interested in politics, so I went downtown. And I started to volunteer for this congressman. And I started spending 10, 20, 30 hours a week. And not too long thereafter, about 3 months later, Bill Townsend, who was his administrative assistant, came up to me and said, you know, you're working so much, we got to start paying you. Well, I had a problem. I was working at night, 3:30 to 12 at night, for the Central Intelligence Agency as a file clerk, while I was also going to the University of Maryland. I slept from time to time. And so I said, well, sure. So I quit my job with CIA, and I went to work for this United States Senator. He was a wonderful, decent, good human being. He won that United States Senate race that year. And for 4 years, while I was a senior at the University of Maryland, 3 years at Georgetown, I had the opportunity of working for this United States Senator from Maryland. He was a wonderful friend of mine from that time to when we lost him a few years ago. But I am so pleased. He was here at the first bull roast, along with Walter Mondale, who was going to be here but is in Europe as we speak. Joe Tidings was here. Senator Joe Tidings. U.S. Senator Joe Tidings. I had a little book, some of you will remember, I had a little tiny brochure. Spent $8,000 total, primary and general, in my first election to the state senate. 5 months out of law school, $8,000. $4,000 of that came from Bill Myers' father. The Myers couldn't be here. Bill Myers was my treasurer. So half of it came from one person. There were no limits then, of course. He says, in case there are any lawyers here. But I had one piece of paper, a little brochure, and it had on the front page me walking down the street of Hillcrest Heights with Joe Tidings. And Joe Tidings was a big eminence then. He'd won a tremendous victory in 1964, close friend of John Kennedy's, had been U.S. Attorney, and was a wonderful United States Senator. Another person who was at that bull roast early on was the governor, who's been introduced, who became one of my closest friends from then to now, who was a wonderful leader of the Maryland State Senate and a wonderful governor of this state, who brought integrity and vision to the state of Maryland. A wonderful, wonderful, good, decent human being, and I am so pleased that he is my friend today, some half a century later, Governor Harry R. Hughes. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there was another woman who was here 30 years ago, also my good friend that I've known since 1962. She became a member of Congress, a wonderful member of Congress, has flown in more Navy airplanes than any woman in the history of America. Wonderful, wonderful member of Congress, Beverly Byron. Beverly, come on out here, man. I just want people to see you. Congresswoman Beverly Byron from Western Maryland. Wonderful job. Thank you so much.
You know, when I first met Steny, he was S. Hamilton Hoyer when he wanted to get involved in politics with the Young Democrats. The next time, not really the next time, but then he surfaces 30 years ago on the House floor as Steny Hoyer. And I had the pleasure, the honor, to present him as the newest member of the Maryland Congressional Delegation. And now he has been and will continue to be the senior member of the Maryland delegation for a long time.
Thank you, Bev Byron. Now, one of the things I'm proudest of is that I am perceived, hopefully correctly, as being willing to reach across the aisle. America's problems, Maryland's problems, Prince George's County problems are not Democratic problems or Republican problems. There are problems. And I am pleased. Ardith Cade is here. Her husband, Jack Cade, was minority leader when I was a president of the Senate. And we worked very closely together, and we were good friends. Mike does the same thing, I know. But it's reaching across the aisle. I want to introduce one of my friends who is a close, dear friend of mine, a Republican member of the Congress of the United States from Baltimore County. Wonderful job. Helen Bentley. Helen, where are you? Where's Helen? Helen here? Well, if she's not here, well, she is here, I know, because I've seen her. But Helen Bentley is here. And Frank Crowderville here? Where's Frank? Frank, where are you? Ladies and gentlemen, a great member of the Congress of the United States from 1st Congressional District, Frank Crowderville. From, by the way, Prince George's County. God bless you. Now, I'm going to say a few more words, but Ann, I see you. Where's Stephanie and where are the grandchildren? And have them all come on up here, will you please? I want you to come up here. Oh. This is Chris, my son-in-law. This is Ava, my great-granddaughter. This is my great-grandson, Braden, and my granddaughter, Judy. Her mom is here as well. Where's Stephanie? Where's your mom? Where's your Stephanie? Ann, come on up here. They'll be up here in just a second. Here's Stephanie. I understand. My daughter Stephanie, who's just got her master's degree in nursing and is a nurse over the Eastern Shore. My daughter Ann, I know you won't believe she's my daughter, I understand that. Susan, my oldest daughter, is in Illinois. I talked to her this morning. She wished me the best. By the way, I mentioned Dan Brewster, but Judy Brewster is here. Judy, come on up front here. His wife, Dan died some years ago, but got a wonderful, wonderful wife who has a wonderful, wonderful name. Her name is Judy. And she and Judy were very, very close friends. Now, ladies and gentlemen, while my daughters are coming up here, I want to introduce my colleague. We have a number of great members of the Congress of the United States on the Democratic side of the aisle. And they are good friends of mine, work hard and do a wonderful job. But one of those is my partner in Prince George's County. We work together very hard on behalf of Prince George's County, the state of Maryland, and our country, and she is doing an extraordinary job. Ladies and gentlemen, the Congresswoman for the 4th Congressional District, we're in her district, Donna Edwards. Donna Edwards.
Just a couple of words. First of all, happy birthday, and thanks so much, Steny, for your service and for your leadership, and just for being a good friend and partner for all of us here in Prince George's County and really across this country and in our great state. I just want to share with you the way I decided that I wanted to be a really good member of Congress was because of a letter that I just dug out of my, stuff, as we have, and I got it in 1982, I believe, and it was written because I was writing to my congressman about the Clean Air Act. And I got a letter back from Steny Hoyer about the Clean Air Act, about the importance of the Clean Air Act. And when I hold that letter, I say that's the kind of member of Congress I want to be. And so I just want to thank you very much for your leadership, for your service, for your friendship, and for all the fun we have together.
She is terrific. Absolutely wonderful. Ann, Stephanie, everybody's here. Do we leave anybody out? Alexa's not. Where's Alexa? Oh, she's not feeling well. I have also an 8-year-old granddaughter, and then my 2 great-grandchildren. I have 3 grandchildren, 3 daughters, and 2 great-grandchildren. Braden is just not cooperating. He was going to give a speech. He's 16 days old. 20 days old. He's an old man now. Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to give a speech, but I do want to thank you. Josh Groban sings a song that I love. That song is You Lift Me Up. That song says that you lift me up so I can stand on mountains. You lift me up so I can walk on troubled waters. You lift me up to more than I can be. Josh Groban signed that song in my office at my request, but I asked him to change one word. The word that the songwriter wrote was, you lift me up to more than I can be. But I asked Josh to change that and say, you lift me up to all that I can be. I want to say to every one of you who through those 52 years or 57 years since I moved to Prince George's County and have lived in Maryland, who have so often lifted me up so that I could stand on mountains. Lifted me up so I could walk on troubled waters. Lifted me up so I could be all that I could be. I am so honored to have served all of you, to have served my district, my state, and my country for 30 years in the Congress of the United States. So blessed to have served with so many of these folks in the General Assembly, in the Congress, my friends in the Senate, and my friends in local government. So honored to have had this opportunity in this great land. I've had the opportunity to travel to some 50 nations of the world. Almost every nation in Europe, traveled behind the Iron Curtain, traveled to South America, Africa, and Asia. This is the greatest land on the face of the earth. It is so because of people like you. And so as we celebrate this 30 years of our service, to our country. Let me simply say, thank you. You honored me. God bless you.